My name's Tim Sanford, and I'm the chief executive of a company called NU Unlimited. And we are just in the final stages of launching a product called Menu, which is, well, it's the first of its kind, but it certainly won't be the last of its kind food data ecosystem. My background is 25 plus years in technology after I left the Royal Navy way back when. And I've been responsible for some notable turnarounds. I've been responsible for some launches and some spin-outs and growing a lot of businesses. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And particularly this project around Menu, which is all about transparency around food and sustainability and things that are all very timely and actually very important to the vast majority of us. Menu is a very simple exercise. For us, it's about food. We are entirely about the story of the food. And this came about because we started, a lot of people want to know where their food comes from. It's now an overwhelming need for a lot of people, partly for health and partly for reasons of wanting to know that the food they're eating is actually good for themselves and the planet. People want to know. And when you start looking, it becomes quite clear that it's, unless you actually know the farmer who produces the food and grows the food, it's very difficult to find out where the food comes from and the story behind it. And we originally started off as a traceability platform way back in 2017, and we were working with all sorts of interesting people from scooter manufacturers through to chemicals and pharma. And the further we got into it, the more we became passionate about the food side of it and what food means to people and how opaque the world of food is. So we built Menu, and our purpose is very simple. It's just to make it all about the food and connect everyone to the truth of the food on their plate at home, in restaurants, and in store. So anywhere you are, you can find out about the food that you're either thinking about buying or that's on your plate. And for most of us, that's just fine. It's great. It's something we want to do. But for some people with medical conditions or allergens or very strong convictions, they have to, or it could be a risk to their life. So that's our purpose, to connect everyone to the story of the food on their plate. So why now? Well, as I said, people want to know or have full food transparency. These are all 2022 figures. So even although we've come out of COVID, we're in the middle of a war between Ukraine and Russia, 85% of consumers want or demand full food transparency. They really want to know where their food's coming from. 64% of consumers are actively prioritizing products that are more transparent, so more than just a little bit of nutritional information. Most consumers struggle to understand what food labels actually mean, and only 20% of consumers trust food labels and the information that's provided on them. So that's the why now for us. The difference between us and pretty much every other food platform that's out there is that it's about the food. So rather than being about selling you something or getting you to buy something or selling you something, we're about the food. So right at the middle of Menu is the most accurate and complete record of food anywhere. It's dynamic. And it builds so that as the farmer produces food and it then moves on to its next stage to be processed, and then it moves on to its next stage to be manufactured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Normally, data gets lost. So by the time normally you would get the food on your plate, there's only 10% of the information that people want is there. With Menu, 100% of it's there all the time, and the food is the information is dynamic, so it builds as the stuff goes through. And we built in interesting things like automatic allergy allocations, automatic nutritional calculations. So this is a very big, powerful system that saves people a lot of time, a lot of money, and it delivers us consumers and a growing number of businesses the 100% transparency that we want. It's dynamic as well. So as things change, it changes with it. And one of the things that is a real pain for a lot of people is that as ingredients change, they have to go through a whole length and complex process. We manage the whole thing dynamically. So A lot of the time in restaurants, there's a thing at the moment called the bullwhip supply chain, where the ingredient A that you were using yesterday is suddenly not available anymore, and you have to use ingredient B. And that could mean you have to change everything in your menu. So vegetable bouillon, which we've all now sadly become experts in New Unlimited. Some vegetable bouillons don't contain celery, others do, and they quite often are used in a lot of dishes across a menu. And as a result, if you change from vegetable bouillon A without celery to vegetable bouillon B with celery because you don't have a choice, you would have to change the cautions across your entire menu. With our product, you can do it at the flick of a switch and it's done automatically. And the whole menu and every iteration of that menu is automatically changed and updated. So it's very dynamic, it's very, and it saves a lot of effort and energy and cost and hassle, and it removes risk from the average business. Everything that's happened up till now in the food technology industry has been about selling you things. Point of sale system, a takeaway and our home delivery system, table reservations, order and pay from table. They're all about the selling you a little bit of food. They don't talk about the food itself. If you spend any time looking at any of these things, the amount of depth and detail they have is practically nothing. They're kind of puddle deep, as it were. With menu, it's all much, much deeper. It's all much, much more rich. And so long as we've got the basic information, we can derive the rest from, or certainly enough to make it a much, much more powerful experience for the average consumer. We have two primary routes to market, and the two primary routes to market that we have are there because the market's told us they want this. And again, menu sits right in the middle, the complete and accurate record of the dish. The supply chain side, the producers, the processors, the manufacturers, and the retailers, they want this because they want to increase their routes to market. They want to cut down on the costs of compliance. They want to increase their profitability. And these tend to be producers that have got a really, really strong story that they're not able to tell at the moment. On the other side, the restaurants, takeaways, home delivery, all those guys, they too want to be able to defend their price. They tend to be the businesses that are the local restaurant, the gastropub, those kind of guys where they want to talk about the quality of the produce they're using, and they want to talk about the producers they buy from. The way that menu pulls all that together means that if you're sitting in a restaurant looking at the menu and they talk about the quality of the steak, well, actually, you can drill all the way back through that to the farmer and see how he produces the meat that he's selling on. So our business model is very simple: software as a service, and a centralized system for managing all the data. It's the most sensible way of doing it. It works, and we're very happy with it. And then finally, I want to talk about our landmark year, which is 2022. This looks a bit messy, but there are two very important things in here. The compliance market, so that's the insurance market, and some of the food compliance businesses that exist across the UK and the USA have become very, very interested in what we do because it helps them manage risk out of the hospitality businesses that they work with. So things like Natasha's Law, which is a big deal in the UK, and also the forthcoming nutrition law, we automatically remove those issues for those businesses. So we are considered to be a very powerful advocate and a very powerful tool to help insurers manage risk out of the hospitality sector. And Customer One, which is Taste of the West, a big trade body which has over 1,500 members, we'll be working with them over this year to build a complete farm to fork food data ecosystem for their members. So that's for the southwest of England, which literally maps from the farm all the way through the various stages to the consumer, whether they're buying it from a shop or sitting in a pub. We are absolutely in the right place at the right time. We are growing faster than I had hoped, and certainly we'll be, by the end of this year, we'll have grown faster than our plan says. And in order to get to the end of stage one, we're raising £350,000 which is predominantly people and marketing, so that we can grow the business faster. And that's us. Thank you very much.